Hello my friends and welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to do a comparison between the Playseat Challenge X and the GT Omega Sprint. The challenge has already been around for a decade and it has been not that long ago that they brought out the Playseat Challenge X. The segment didn't receive a lot of love from the manufacturers out there. There was Next Level Racing that also brought out foldable solutions, but it is just recently that other manufacturers are starting to get into the segment too. We have Racting, for example, that brought out the folding seat, and also recently the GT Omega Sprint was brought out. When you look at the price, there is already a big difference between both. The Playseat Challenge X comes in at €299. You can get it from the Playseat site itself or via dealers. The price, well, it will go down. It will vary between €200 and €299 depending on when you buy it. The GT Omega Sprint is available only via the GT Omega website, so far that I know, and it comes in at €229. However, there will be some reductions and it can be found for €200, perhaps at certain times even a bit less. The configuration for the pedal base holder, they do exactly the same when it comes to the configuration, but only Playseat opted to be a bit more minimalistic. You can slide it away and closer by undoing the blue bolts here, and you can also put the pedal base a bit in an angle in 2 or 3 different positions by just putting the brackets a bit higher or lower. When we look at the GT Omega Sprint, it has a lot more configuration possibilities when it comes to sliding. The rails here, you can slide them closer or further, but especially the angle in which you can put your pedal base is a lot better with the GT Sprint. Compatibility for the pedal base, well, I think the GT Omega Sprint is the big winner here because they opted to go for the two separate cross members here on the frame. They will fit any pedal base or any loose 3 pedals without any problem, and this is a bit different with the Playseat Challenge X. You really have to fiddle here a bit, turn the brackets around to mount pedals, and the problem also is that you cannot mount separate pedals on it. And not only that, if you mount a pedal base, you also have to make sure that, for example, the CSL pedals, they have the brake pedal in the middle if you have a 3-pedal setup, and it doesn't have anything here to support it. So I think that Playseat really did a very minimalistic design on it, and the GT Omega Sprint just has the best design for it. Only remark that I have for the Sprint, and I said it also in the review, is that they use a very thick squared tubular cross members here, which makes it a bit harder to attach certain pedals, like the CSL pedals. Again, they have a very deep attachment point in it, and it makes it a bit harder, but of course you get the appropriate bolts to attach them. When it comes to the configurability of the wheelbase holder, well, I think also the GT Omega Sprint is really good. If you look at the Playseat Challenge X, well, there is the possibility to tilt the wheelbase holder a bit like this and move it a bit forward and backwards by adapting the screws that are here on the wheelbase holder itself. But that's it, and that was really a pain point that I had for the Challenge X, that there was no way that you can put it a bit higher or lower, the wheelbase holder. And this is something that they tackled with the GT Omega Sprint. What they did here is, with this bar that you have here, you can put it higher and lower because of these 2 things here. So you really clamp the holder into place, and this gives you 10 centimeters that you can move the wheelbase holder up and down, and this is something which I have never seen yet with the foldable rigs before. A really good innovation from GT Omega. It's not only that, of course, it can also be tilted up and down, but you also have about 5 centimeters that you can slide the wheelbase holder further and back, so that is also a very good innovation. When it comes to the compatibility for the wheelbases, well, I think also again the Sprint has the advantage. GT Omega put a lot more extrusions here in the wheelbase holder plate than the Playseat Challenge X has. So here again they did it very minimalistic. You can attach a lot of wheelbases, almost every wheelbase, but you will see that some will only fit with 2 attachment points and not the 4. This is different with the Sprint. Here you can attach almost any wheelbase with the 4 attachment points that it is that is necessary. Something to note for configuration is that it can be done on the fly for the Playseat Challenge X, and on the Sprint it is not, and this will also play some roles in the sturdiness of the 2 cockpits. The test pedal used are Thrustmaster TLCM pedals, so the amount of force applied is not in the same ballpark as those with 100 kg and 200 kg load cell pedals. The pedals were attached with 4 bolts each on the pedal plates, but as said before, because of the limited extrusions, fitting pedals with 4 attachment points is a pickle sometimes on the Playseat. It is also one of the reasons why I can't use my regular testing pedals for this test. Both the pedal bases are relatively stable when using them and have a small amount of flex on them. I can't say which of both has more flex, but for both, I hardly noticed it while I was driving normally. What is more noticeable is the folding of the structure and braking heavily. It's a phenomenon that all folding seats I have tested so far experience, and it can be particularly disturbing when having some higher end brakes or you simply have to brake hard. The wheelbase holder is tested with a Camo C12 on roughly 10 Nm of force peak. Unfortunately, here also, the extrusions don't permit for the C12 to be attached with 4 attachment points on the holder. On the Sprint, it can be attached with 4 bolts. Here, the flexing is more visible. The Challenge X seems to struggle a bit harder with the forces than the Sprint, and it is very obvious here that GT Omega is onto something with the design of the wheelbase holder. The flex for the Playseat is situated mostly on the tilting configuration part of the wheelbase holder and the frame, where the opening mechanism is locked to the rest of the cockpit. When driving with these forces, there was a noticeable difference in favor of the Sprint when it comes to the movement of the wheelbase. When we look at the build quality, well, the Playseat Challenge X just looks a bit more finished than the Sprint. It's the paint, for example. If you look at the paint of the Challenge X, it feels more smooth. It looks nicer than the powder coating of the Sprint. A lot less scratches on the Challenge X. So that's already a big point, but it's not only that. It is the general finishing also. The soldering that I see on the Sprint, it is a bit sloppy. So in general, if you look at it, you just feel that the Challenge X is a bit more finished, feels a bit more refined than the Sprint does. Both these seats feel very comfortable to be in. They can be adapted with the straps on the bottom and on the back for both these seats. But I would prefer the ActiveFit upholstery of the Challenge X a bit more than the Alcantara-like of the GT Omega Sprint. Both these fabrics do something against sweating. You have the ActiveFit, which has like the little fibers which dissipates some warmth, and here with the GT Omega you have the gauze which leads away the warmth from your back. The seating area for the GT Omega Sprint is a bit larger, so you have 50 centimeters here for your backrest and you only have 46 centimeters here for the Challenge X, which makes the GT Omega Sprint more suitable for a bit broader people. There is also a slight difference in the inclination of the headrest here, so this one is a bit less inclined than the one of the Challenge X, which can be handy for people that use VR glasses to drive. When it comes to features, well, they are almost the same. Both come with attachment material for your hardware, They come with cable binders, they come with the foldability, of course, which is a big feature. They come both with a shifter holder, but I think that the shifter holder of the Sprint is just more easy to work with. I didn't understand the concept really of the one that was included with the Challenge X. A last feature that I want to point out that the Sprint has and the Challenge doesn't have is the little pouch on the back where you can put your gloves in, your headset, for example. So it's really nice that they put it in there too. A last thing that I also want to mention is that the GT Omega Sprint comes with wheels. Now, I have seen this concept before with Next Level Racing, but there it was not really an extra value, but for the Sprint it really is. So I would really say, if I look at it, that the GT Omega Sprint just has a little bit more features, better features than the Playseat Challenge X. The foldability is, as said, without doubt the biggest feature of these cockpits, and it is still the ace in the sleeve of the Challenge X. No other cockpit comes close to the ease of folding and the space that it uses. In less than a minute you can fold it out and are ready to race. It takes significantly longer for the Sprint to be unfolded, but yeah, it's still more than acceptable for these types of rigs. Something that I want to correct from my earlier review of the Sprint is that I did not mount the self-locking nuts correctly. Yeah, I had not locked them enough, and when doing this it does indeed look a lot better. Thank you both Simon Whiteleg and Gergely Kosegi for pointing this out. I still believe though that a small metal ledge on the top would help with it not folding in the wrong direction. Another point would be the footprint of both. In folded position, the Playseat Challenge X takes up a very compact 60 cm in width, 130 cm in height and an impressive 36 cm in depth. The Sprint takes up 67 cm of width, 128 cm of height and double the depth of the Challenge X with 77 cm. In folded out position, the Sprint takes up 155 cm in length, 67 cm width and 102 cm in height. The Playseat Challenge normally will take a bit less space with 142 cm in length, 60 cm width and 102 cm in height. As a conclusion, I would say that Playseat has dominated the foldable cockpit segment for way too long, and I'm glad that companies like GT Omega, they stand up and make their own foldable solutions. What I see here from GT Omega, it is a bit rough around the edges, I have to say this, but the configuration that they have, the stability that they have, the features that they have, and the price that they have is just so much more interesting than the Playseat Challenge X. To counter this, the Challenge X is still the king of user friendliness and space efficiency. It looks good and it feels more high-end than the GT Omega does because of the used materials and finishing. And let's not forget that Playseat is a very strong brand and backed by a huge PR machine and logistics stretching out to the furthest points in the world. In the end, with the material I use every day being the Camo C12 and Fanatec V3 pedals, I would opt for the GT Omega Sprint as it is just much more configurable and sturdy. But I do also have half a garage to drive or store it, so space is not really an issue for me, but it might be an issue for you. Thank you all for watching, I hope you had something from this video. Leave a like if you did, subscribe if you want to see more videos, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye bye.